everyone, and welcome or welcome back to the channel. This is Carmina, and today we are going to continue our series where we unravel the meanings, interpretations, secrets, why not, of the 52 cards of the regular card deck. We say regular card deck, but we know that these 52 cards are actually the ancestors of tarot, and the quadrations that have been handed down for generations have a very particular meaning, which of course we use in several card systems, one of which is the cards of truth. And today is the turn of the Queen of Spades, the one and only. Isn't she lovely? And before we get started with unraveling the interpretations for the Queen of Spades, let me just quickly remind you that the cards that you are seeing in these videos are part of the deck that I designed with the help of an illustrator. And you can get yourself a deck. I've got great feedback from the people who already got these decks. They like the quality, they love the drawings. They say it helps them deepen and better learn the cards of truth system. So you can check out the link in the description box for you to get your own deck. And also, if you want to go deeper with the meanings of the cards of truth, I'm going to be offering 10 classes starting January 19. So it's going to be every Saturday from 11 a.m. Eastern Time in the US. You can calculate on timeanddate.com what time that is for you. And these classes are not for absolute beginners, because if you're an absolute beginner, you can just, watch my YouTube videos and then you won't be an absolute beginner anymore. These are for people who are more towards the intermediate level. These are people who already have the basics and just want to go more profoundly into the cards of truth system. So yeah, if you're interested in the classes, again, find the link to register in the description box. Okay, so on to the star of the day, the Queen of Spades. Isn't she lovely? Like, really, isn't she lovely? Look at her. You see the energy of the Queen of Spades. I wanted it to be very clear from this card. You see that this is a woman. It's a feminine energy. Of course, it's connected to the Vishnu principle of maintenance in nature. So it's a force that stabilizes. It's a consistent force that just is good at arranging things in nature and in life. And this Queen of Spades is the most independent of all the queens in the deck. We already talked about the Queen of Clubs, who is, very restless, who's moving all over the place, who's omnipresent. We talked about the Queen of Hearts, who is very loving, very maternal, very nourishing. We talk about the Queen of Diamonds, who's a very good manager of financial resources. And this Queen of Spades is the champion of self-reliance. It can show up in the deck as a person who has these qualities. Some people are a bit mean and they say the Queen of Spades is the old spinster. It's the old maid, the woman that, alone and didn't get married or anything. But you have to take it as, a person who's so self-sufficient and self-validating that can, live on her own. She doesn't need a partner in her life. She's sufficient for herself. She's very self-reliant. And I was watching a video that was in my Facebook feed at some point about this woman who lived in Russia for like 30 years by herself. And she was always every day going and fishing in the ice, like digging a hole in the ice and taking care of her needs, and there was nobody for miles there. This is kind of the energy of the Queen of Spades. It's the person, usually a woman, but it can be like you in this stage of development where you are very, you know, you require more solitude, and you just go on your path. Because the spade suit is of course associated to the element of fire, we can see this Queen of Spades as the fire that burns in the forest, you know, the spontaneous fires that sometimes are born in the forest. And this fire, of course, it can be devastating, but on the other hand, it's very beneficial for the forest because it eliminates all dry matter, all the things that shouldn't be there anymore. So it's a force that can be very devastating because it's, you know, it's cruel, it's tough, it's on her own way. But it's also a force that is good for cleansing, you know, for maintaining a balance of cleansing, of keeping the stability. Because of course the Queen of Spades is associated to the 4, 5, and 6 of spades, and the spade suit is associated to the well-being of the body, to working really hard. And because the Queen is mostly associated to number 5, the Queen of Spades also has this attribute of kind of going through a rehab, going through a detox. So that's why I'm making this analogy with the wildfire. And yeah, so these are like the keywords that you need to remember for the Queen of Spades, like tough, a bit harsh, a bit cruel, a bit self-reliant. If the Queen of Spades shows up reversed in a spread, it can be someone who is lazy and who can't bring themselves about to have these tougher qualities when required. Of course, it depends on the position of the card in the spread. And of course, red queens can be associated to women with light hair and lighter skin, and queens, black queens, to women who have like dark hair and a darker skin tone. So you can use all these information when you do your card readings. Of course, all the Queen's energy is connected to the Neptunian energy. Neptune is, of course, the outer planet that works on a more subtle, unconscious level. And it has this also dissolving and dissolving quality and nourishing quality. So I would say that the black queens are more the dissolving quality of Neptune, because it like takes away, it scatters for the Queen of Clubs, and for the Queen of Spades it's more like burning things. And the red queens are more the nourishing side of Neptune. But either way, they are connected to this Neptunian force and to connecting to the world on a deeper level. Okay, now let's think a little about the underlying and overlying card for the Queen of Spades. And the underlying card is the 10 of Diamonds. So this is like what the Queen of Spades is embodied from. So it's embodied from getting some material, concrete rewards from the world. And where it's going is the 8 of Diamonds. The 8 of Diamonds is bringing value from within. So it's interesting that this Queen of Spades is between these stages of diamonds, between these stages of concrete results. It's a stage of fighting, it's a stage of struggle, it's a stage of going and forging your own path. And yeah, the past and the future of the card, like the energy of embodiment and future embodiment, is something concrete, something of the world, diamond. Okay, now let's check out the Queen of Spades spread for today. Okay, so this is the Queen of Spades card of truth spread. It's a natal spread cast for the date of today. So just focus more on the cards than on the planets in the cards, because they will be different for everyone depending on their place and time of birth. Yeah, before we start this, I just wanted to mention that the Queen of Spades is my Rahu card. So it's an energy that I'm doing my best to understand. And by doing that, I hope I am explaining it to you guys as clearly as possible. Okay, so the Queen of Spades, we see it here. We see the underlying card, the 10 of Diamonds, and an overlying card, the 8 of Diamonds that we discussed. And remember, if you have Kala software, you have to look at the natal quadration for the underlying and overlying cards, because then in the year spread and in the week spread and day spread and so on, the cards will have different underlying and overlying cards depending on the transitional moments. Okay, that being said, let's just go through this spread. So we see here that the ecliptic path of the Queen of Spades is the 8 of Hearts. We were just talking about, you know, this Queen of Spades being more tough, being on her own way, being self-reliant, and we see that she's also on the path of emotional sufficiency. So not needing emotional validation from others. So this ecliptic path concurs this energy that we mentioned. We also see a lot of black cards, so a lot of hard work for her. We see that the K2 card, the past life experiences were a lot connected to finding a cure, finding a remedy, finding something that worked for them physically and psychologically. And the North Node is the 4 of Diamonds. So concrete material stability is what they are trying to develop in this life. So they have to try to develop this more. They are good at this, but they have to balance the spade energy with this 4 of Diamonds energy of some material security. We see also that they have the 7 of Spades on the Mars card. So that's a good placement for a 7 of Spades, because the person, you know, when there comes a time of the body not functioning, of your physical expectations not being met, this person has the ability to make sense of that situation and not really get stuck into the things that are not working out. So she has the ability, the Queen of Spades, to make the best out of a bad situation. Actually, you know, like a crisis situation, a moment of breakdown, because of course the 7 of Spades is the falling tower. That will fuel the Queen of Spades to be more brave. So she likes a challenge, this Queen of Spades. We also see here the 6 of Spades, that is congruent with the energy of the Queen, of course, as again, we're going to mention that they are connected to the 4, 5, and 6s. So this 6 of Spades of being mature with your body and with your psychological development, reaching a maturity, a climax with your bodily and psychological development, is what will help them connect more deeply to the world on this Neptune card. And it's especially important, this Neptune card, because we mentioned in the beginning that queens are connected to the energy of Neptune. And more so in this case, because the Neptune card is also conducive of this 6 of Spades energy. And I'm also going to mention that these Queen of Spades birthdays only happen once a year, on the 2nd of January every year after sunrise at your place of birth. So they're also a rare breed, the Queens of Spades. And I would say because of this emphasis on, you know, Neptunian energy, they are more to themselves, they are more driven by the subtle and unconscious forces in themselves. They are more lonely persons, the persons that really don't need so much from other people. Okay, now let's see. They also have this Jack of Clubs on the Sun card. So the kingdom they are building relates to starting new projects, starting new things that they are inspired with. The Moon card, this Nine of Diamonds, shows an early environment that was related to, you know, it can be loss of resources, giving away of resources. So the bad side, the, you know, the more unfavorable connotation of the Nine of Diamonds is loss of resources, and the positive connotation is charitable and being like a channel for concrete resources in the world. It can be a charitable card. It can also be connected to being receptive to the concrete signs, the concrete omens of the world. So yeah, they have a childhood marked by these things, and also this is how they react to change. This is how they adapt to life, by kind of giving things away, not being stuck on accumulating material things, but just like being charitable, giving things away. Or, you know, it can happen that they also lose things without wanting, because the North Node is also here, and the North Node has this, you know, more spontaneous energy. Okay, we already talked about this Mars card. The Mercury card is a great card, I would say. It's a Two of Clubs. It's also connected to this Jack of Clubs, because the Jacks, of course, have the energy of Ace, 2, and 3 of Clubs. And the way they communicate, the way they manage their ideas, the way they manage their lives is by continuously educating themselves on something intellectual. Yes, so they are very, they are persons who need a lot of intellectual stimulation. And this is also confirmed by this King of Spades, of Clubs here. This is, you know, themselves reaching a level of a high level intellectually, or it can be that they are attracted, if they are women, if there's a King of Spades woman, she can be attracted to, you know, a person that's more intellectually cold, because the Jupiter card can also show the man in a woman's life. Here the Jack of Diamonds shows the preferences, what the Queen of Clubs, what the Queen of Spades like, what is she satisfied with, and how she is in her romantic life. So she's kind of practical. You know, she likes practical things like diamonds. It can also be a little, you know, they say that diamonds are a bit superficial, because the diamond is the surface part of the world. It connects to the earth, the surface, the minerals. So, you know, she can be attracted to a person who's very, you know, it's good looking, a Jack of Diamonds, and also a person who's very a good salesman. So, you know, if it's a woman, she will be attracted by a combination of these two, a person who's very high level with their inspiration and is also a good salesman. Because of course the Venus card is what we like, and it's also connected to relationships, to our relationship life, and what we like in a relationship. So I guess in a relationship she likes to get to feel that she gets worthwhile things. This concrete aspect is very important for her in a relationship. Okay, and then not a happy card here on the Saturn position, because we prefer odd cards on the Saturn position, and here we have a Four of Hearts. So the stability the stability of a home, the devotional stability, emotional stability gets challenged a lot. For Queen of Spades people, they may be lucky enough to have a strong Saturn, like, you know, here Saturn is in the Saturn card, so it helps. But it's also with the Sun, and the Sun is an enemy of Saturn. It's also, so it's like with 3 malefics. So, you know, for this hypothetical person born today, it's difficult. Also because they have the 7th cusp of relationship here, the 8th cusp of intimacy, the 9th cusp of, you know, legalizing a relationship of the family unit. So yeah, relationships on an emotional level are a challenge for her because she prefers anyway to be this self-reliant person. I mean, that's her best bet. And it's interesting that her Pluto card for the Queen of Spades is the Queen of Hearts. So a lot of expectations from their mother, and if they become mothers themselves, they set a lot of expectations in regard to their role as a mother, and those expectations will fail them because the Pluto card is always what we invest our ego in. But you know, this is just so that the person becomes more of a Queen of Spades, more self-reliant. Yes. And I think the only card that we didn't discuss is this 6 of clubs on the Uranus card. So on a collective level, she can bring a spark of satisfaction with their inspiration. They can bring this roundness, this capacity to have, you know, success and validation from the world with their inspiration. Yes, so this Queen of Spades birth spread people, they can of course have relationships, but their relationships, they are they need to have this concrete practical component of giving and receiving equally. They need to have their alone time, they need to have their space, they need to feel they are creating good deals. Even when it comes to a relationship, it has to be something concrete, because you know, you can't expect this Queen of Spades person to be super lovey-dovey. She kind of feels that she is failed by the heart suit. You see, it's a difficult heart here on the Saturn card and the difficult heart here on the Pluto card. So the best manifestation of the heart suit for them is to be self-reliant. She can't really, you know, rely on other people emotionally. So yeah, a very tough woman, a woman who knows what she wants, and she can go and forge her own path. Okay, you guys, it became dark here already. It's like 4:30 p.m., but because it's winter, you know, it gets dark very fast. Don't forget to check out the other videos on the cards of truth, the other astrology videos, because you can connect, you know, the planets to the cards as well. And yeah, if you want to register to my card courses, you know, you can message me or register via the link below. And if you want to purchase one of the approximately 50 card decks that I still have from this first batch of cards that I ordered, you can do so. Okay, see you guys soon. Bye.